Hey, what's going on, everybody? Good. Hope you're having a good Saturday afternoon. Got one of my young bulls on here with me. Give me some game because he's more close to it than I am. But today, we're going to talk about what are some of the things that our kids in the inner city and our community are going through that nobody's talking about. Sometimes you hear about the school behavior, but we never really talk about what contributes to some of that behavior that some of our kids are going through that is not talked about or not discussed. Whether it's not popular to discuss or it's just not comfortable, but we're gonna talk about some of those today. I know I've been on both sides, been a kid and a parent raising kids, born in '83, so '80s and '90s, all that, grew up in that time. So I can talk from that perspective. And we got my young bull right here. He was when were you born?
96.
96, man. 96. So yeah, he more closer to the game than I am for sure. So yeah, we're gonna get right into it though. Make sure to comment, let us know what you think. What are some of the things that kids deal with that's not really talked about? Seen the post this morning too that I'm gonna talk about as well. So let's talk about the first slide. It's unstable homes that lack supervision. What you think about that, bro?
Well, that, I feel like everything discipline wise and raising the child wise starts at home. So,
Hold on, before we go there, I want to say this is just general stuff. I
yeah,
don't want nobody to think that we talking about them. We just talking in general on general terms.
yeah,
All things equal, you know what I'm saying? We're not talking about no specific person or nobody's parents and style. No, we just saying in general. When they saying kids act bad in general, we're saying in general, does unstable homes that lack supervision. All right, go ahead.
yeah. So, unstable homes that lack supervision, uh, the effects of that can be very detrimental
100%, yes sir.
of a child, male or female. It really don't matter.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Uh, First, just the unstable home in general. Uh, it goes a long way in the makeup of the child. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you add things like the lack of supervision, then of course it's going to eventually be a train wreck.
Right.
Uh, to avoid situations like that, it's easier said than done because they really can go into specific problems, uh, like unstable, being a unstable home could deal with drug addiction, verbal abuse, physical abuse. I mean, something that's simple, and I feel like verbal abuse don't get talked enough.
Mm.
Uh, in some cases, verbal abuse can be more detrimental than physical.
Mm.
Uh, there's some children that rather be beat than talk down upon or talk crazy to due to low self esteem, uh,
Mm.
them not feeling themselves.
Oh, well, okay, we got you back. We lost you for like a split second. Okay, go ahead.
Uh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. We
Okay.
went out for like a split second. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Due to like low self esteem,
Mm-hmm.
the children not feeling up to par with themselves, and as the child grows older and older, the cause and effect will have already taken place.
Mm-hmm.
You start at a certain age. Say you have a 5-year-old child, unstable home.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's a certain age range where I feel like the child has to have everything that it needs to progress in life.
Right.
Um, like I said, 5-year-old child may deal with verbal abuse versus a
Mm-hmm.
15-year-old child who've been dealing with that since 5 years old. They are already
Mm-hmm.
to it. They have come accustomed to it.
Right.
So um, it will become their natural habitat.
Right.
So it even gets deeper into it when
Mm-hmm.
when that 15-year-old child grows up to turn 20, 21, and they really
Mm-hmm.
start diving into the dating pool.
Mm. Oh yeah.
It all goes what they look for and what they are attracted to all stems all the way back from their childhood, what they seen,
Mm.
what they experienced.
Right.
Um, so having an unstable home in general, whether it lacks supervision or not, is very detrimental.
Yeah.
When it lacks such supervision, if you ain't watching your kids and the house is already unstable, Lord knows what can go on. You know what I mean? Mentally,
Yeah.
emotionally. I feel like the emotional standpoint don't get talked about a lot,
Mm.
uh, especially in men.
Yeah.
And I know last year I made one of the best decisions that I have ever made in my life. I started going to therapy, and it
Mm.
was, and I needed it. Not to say I had a terrible childhood, because I had a good childhood.
Mm-hmm.
Um, versus some of my friends growing up, my childhood
Yeah.
was amazing, but we still there's still things that, as I'm speaking for myself, not nobody else. As a young man growing
Mm-hmm.
up, that I bottled in
Right.
because
For sure.
of you know, I'm a man. Men don't cry. Men don't do this. Men don't do that. But I've always been the one that was always attached and connected to my emotions. So I was always uh, trying to fight that stigma. And when like I said, when I did my therapy last year,
Mm-hmm.
up to my eyes to how much I was really holding in from
Mm.
not properly grieving loved ones
Mm.
that passed on. Uh, that's something that's not talked about with youth. Uh, properly grieving, and then uh, letting grief take its course and letting it go.
Mm.
We have to find a way to not just cope, but we have to say, okay, it's okay to let this go. And
Okay.
we can grieve more than just death of loved ones. We can grieve relationships. We can grieve, uh, disappointments. It's all grief.
Mm-hmm.
It's all you having to breathe, breathe in and breathe
Mm.
out, letting it go. So
Yeah. For sure.
my bad. I'm
No, you good. You good. No, that's why I say I'm glad to be able to do this in the afternoon, man. More energy now instead of doing it at night where you feel like you fall asleep. It's so funny. But what I will say to anybody, just because you have two parents don't mean that the house is stable. It could be two parents in there and it could be like WWE.
okay.
It could be two parents in there, and what I mean by like lack of supervision, like more than just watching the kid, being able to talk to your kids about life and just talk to them about things, about what they're dealing with at school. Being able to let them talk to you about what they're dealing with at school. Instead of, sometimes you get in the routine of working 9 to 5, you get off at 5, you make dinner, you watching TV, kids watching TV. 8 o'clock come, everybody going to bed, and that's the day. I mean, it went by just like that. You know what I'm saying? You got to kind of break up that time during the week and really start, seeing what's going on, with your kids. Uh, Even sometimes just watching them without interacting with you. How do they interact with other kids? How do they interact with their siblings? Seeing little things, that pop up. You be like, I got to talk to them about that. I do that with my kids. I see little things here and there. trying to supervise them on how to deal with life, like starting them like how to be consistent, cleaning up behind yourself, not talking back to your parents, how to say yes ma'am, no ma'am, stuff like that, teaching them that those respectful traits that comes under supervision as well. And like you were saying with verbal abuse, you have to be mindful of how you treat people. That's biblical. Number one, like I know sometimes you may hear I know older generation of parents that say there was no instruction in the manual on how to be parents, but the Bible is an instruction manual on kind of how to treat people. But I know kids are it's different because you have to train them to be adults. But I think, like for me, I'm just gonna speak from my experience. I make sure that if I do something wrong, I tell my kids I done something wrong and I apologize to them, or I let them know that I did something wrong because sometimes that could be you can be building instability and not know it. And there are some dudes who grew up with their dad be like, I don't do nothing wrong. I'm the dad. I pay the bills. I provide. I got the license to do whatever I want to do. So if you think like that, what do you think you're gonna pass down to your son? You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times, you may not even be thinking about it at the time till you realize you created a monster. Now he's 16, and he kind of really mirroring what you put in him. You know what I'm saying? So, and then single parent home. This is why I tell kids, please wait until you get married. Um, when you want to have kids, because raising a kid as a single parent not easy. I grew up in a single parent home, not easy. It's hard to be stable when it's only one parent. It's almost impossible because you can only do so much when you're by yourself and raising kids. It's like you can shield them from this, but you might not can't shield them from that because you can only cover so much as an individual. You know what I'm saying? So, but definitely, unstable home like verbal abuse. How y'all treat each other? Thank God my wife don't do that. But if she was always, if my wife always was one of them kind of personalities that chaos is her language, it's always chaos. It's always, going back and forth and bickering with each other and stuff. What do you think that's gonna do to your kids? You know what I'm saying? It's gonna do something to your kids whether you want to or not. And you have to. I realize this as a parent. My decisions and things that I do, my kids could possibly be collateral damage. I got to think about that before I do stuff. You know what I'm saying? That my kids could be the collateral damage of my decisions that I make. So that's why I always try to think about those things. But there are a lot of kids who don't have parents that think like this. You know what? This is my kid. I have to put this kid needs before mine because this kid don't have any control of what they want to do, or they can't go to the store and buy their own clothes and stuff like that. They don't know how to go grocery shopping and things like this. They don't even know how to make their own food. This kid's only 8 years old. But when you grow up in an unstable household, man, sometimes some parents just don't think that way, what I'm saying? They still think it's me first, what I'm saying? So just all about the perspectives of how you look at being a parent. But what you think about that, Jay?
A lot of people are
Does
on this. What's going on, guys? A lot of
yeah,
people are on this me first. I gotta properly take care of myself before I can take care of anybody else.
yeah,
That's true, but child needs basic needs. You know what I mean? If
yeah,
your basic needs are taken care of, you shouldn't have to go on a vacation or have seafood boil before your kid gets some noodles or some oatmeal. You know what I mean? As long as you're fed, they're fed. You don't have to be doing the best. A lot of people have this be first attitude. Um, your independence, just because you can't do it by yourself or it's hard, um, doesn't make you weak. I mean, I think it takes two people to create a child.
right.
Why wouldn't it take two people to kind of raise them, properly? And
Yeah,
like you said, that WWE thing, your parents could be together fighting each other. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
everything you do does affect your child.
Oh man, your
One
mic
thing,
doing it again. The static.
can you see me? Can you hear me? No,
Yeah, it's staticking. It's going away now.
all right. I have, my mic be acting up sometimes, but
It's all good.
but I was just you know, piggybacking off what you said about that. Um, Everything you do to your child, say, do, your child sees the environment you create in your home affects your child.
Yeah,
I'm trying to monitor my child and try not to discipline him so much and trying to see where he's coming from, why he's
right.
making the decision he's
Yeah,
making before I just come in with correction. You're supposed to do
right.
it this way, do it this way. I try to understand where, why he's thinking and just kind of watch him in his own environment, uh, how he interact with his cousins, because I can't see him all the time at school. You
Right,
know,
exactly.
I don't get to choose what character traits he picks up from me. You know what I mean? So I just try to be the best person I can. Of course, I'm not perfect,
Yeah.
but still.
Right, and for sure. And we're not saying that if you're a single parent that makes you weak. What we're talking about the reality, um, the reality of being a single parent. Oh, your mic doing it again.
It's better,
All right, it just went off. It's like it did it, then you did something and it went off. Is it like a shortage probably?
I have no
Well, it's
idea.
all good. But no, we're not saying that you're weak for being a single parent. We're saying that the reality of being a single parent. Some people try to escape the reality. There's a reality that comes with it that is hard to overcome. You can overcome it, but it's was a lot of things that you have to take into account about being a parent. But yeah, that's what we talking about today. What are the youth dealing with that's not discussed? And these are one of the things I think it's like sometimes an unstable home, you know, not having the kids do homework or letting the kids go to and fro when they get out of school. You know what I'm saying? Depending on the area that you live in, you know what I'm saying? You may live in this neighborhood and it may be, dope infested. You may live in another neighborhood and it may be who knows what's going on, you know what I'm saying? It may be crazy, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, and I like
anything
the
y'all want to
point.
say? Go ahead.
I like the point he made about therapy. It's
Yeah.
normal. What you consider to be normal, uh, maybe isn't normal. It's really strange, or maybe your ignorance is keeping you from the answer. You know what I mean? Let's say
Mm,
Walmart has the tool you need, but you don't even know this tool exists, so you can't
mm,
really go to Walmart and just buy it. Somebody
right.
knows that information, and then sometimes going to therapy is like, hey, well, you can do this, and they introduce you to these. Maybe sometimes it's a way of thinking, or just some tools, or just some things to think about, like the grieving process. Um,
Yeah.
like he mentioned earlier, um, it kind of just makes sense to you. You know what I mean? But your parents, your grandparents, your great great grandparents didn't know. They taught you the best they could, and you
Right.
were operating on an incomplete way of doing things. And sometimes just that extra knowledge could help you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that
I
was
mean,
really
we
good.
know dudes growing up in the hood, man. We know dudes that they brother sold dope, their dad sold dope, and their granddad sold dope. So it's almost like it's passed down through. It's crazy. People think that's extreme, but some people that's the reality, man. They family sold dope, and it fell on them. It's crazy, but it's generations of dude in jail that sold dope, man. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy, but it's that kind of stuff that's in the kids deal with that's not really talked about as much. They just saying kids are bad and they don't know why it's coming from. But you go in some of these neighborhoods, man, like some neighborhoods, we're gonna talk about that. They don't have mentors in those neighborhoods, you know what I'm saying? It's just not in proximity of their neighborhood. It's just what they'd have to deal with, the vices or whatever. There's more vices than there are positives, you know what I'm saying? That
Yeah,
kids
and
deal
some
with.
parents
So
are just playing into that. You know what I mean? They smoking weed with
yeah,
their kids. It's been a long time thing. Well, my daddy took me to my first time. My daddy took me to see a professional. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And that's child abuse right there. You corrupting your own child. You know what I mean? With that kind of abuse and things like
yeah,
that. And he said,
yeah,
men are not supposed to cry and things like that.
yeah,
And if you're taught that and it's reality, you think something is wrong with you because you're sympathetic to like your dog dying or your grandma died and you crying. You know what I mean? Your daddy saying, man up. You know what I mean? It's like, well,
Yeah,
that's not what I'm feeling.
yeah, yeah. It's a difference with parenting in the '80s and '90s and now. It's a total difference, man. You know what I'm saying? Total difference of doing this. So go to the next slide. But anything y'all want to say before we move to this next slide? Next slide is this is the Facebook post of the day. I think her name was Crystal. Shout out to Crystal. She said, "Are you comfortable with corporal punishment for your daughters or sons as a father? Are you comfortable with that?"
I think you should really watch putting your hands on children or anybody else. Um, that should be really limited. I'm from the South, you know what I mean? So I have a bias in this. Um, I grew up on them, you know what I mean? And they didn't hurt me, you know what I mean? I'm not psychologically messed up. I probably am. But but you kind of have to watch that. Um, a lot of people I've seen, like we seen videos here on this podcast where a parent was angry and they were disciplining their child. You know what I mean? And that's not called for. You shouldn't be hitting a child out of anger or frustration. And I think if you have a system like that, it needs to be checks and balances. You have to have rules for yourself. You can't just go around willy nilly hitting your kids or having other people hit your kids.
Yeah,
I think just kids are humans too. They can be taught to and stuff like that. There's other forms of discipline. They call it soft parenting now, but you don't have to put your hands on somebody to get your point across. So
yeah. What you think? What you think, Jamel?
Well, I'm not a father, not yet anyway. Uh,
but you were a child though at one
but,
point.
but at that I was a child. Um, I come from a spare the ride, spoil the child. What is called? I think it's spare the ride.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah. Spread
Yeah,
not
Yeah.
the
you got
rod
it.
lest you spoil the child. Yeah,
Uh, yeah. So, like Jay was saying, we from the South, so we got some whoopings, but it didn't affect me in the like you said. I'm not damaged by it. But I'm thankful that my parents did incorporate what they would call soft parenting now. Groundings. They took away my PlayStation. They took away my Game Boy. I couldn't get the new pack of Pokemon cards or stuff like that that had either the same effect or a greater effect than the whooping. You know,
yeah,
um, it's all dependent on the child. That's how I feel. If I have a child that responds better with me putting them on punishment, no TV for a week, then I know that's what I need to do.
right.
Uh, versus me whipping out the belt on them, which
Yeah,
sometimes they the spankings are needed, in my opinion. But at the same time, you have to be careful with it too, because the
your mic doing it again, Jay.
yeah. So
Okay,
the
it went off.
the time and the day that we live in, you might can go to jail.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah. So you have to be careful, but
Yeah,
that's how I feel about it.
yeah. I know for me as a kid, I'm just gonna speak from my experience growing up in the '80s, '90s, or whatnot. I'm gonna say I was one of those kids, right? If I know for a fact that when I look back on hindsight, if I did not receive whatever they call it, corporal punishment or whooping, I've my mom probably would have created a monster because my mind, I don't even know where I get it from. My mind is just analytical. I was always trying to press the line. Like a kid should not be thinking about how far is the line before I get in trouble. But that's kind of how I be thinking. Like, how far can I push the line? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Before it's too far. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So, but I can say that my mom, she gave us warning before destruction came.
Yeah.
She didn't say stuff twice. She'll let you know. I think that's important to talk to your kids. I think if you don't talk to them and you just whoop them, I think that could be a profound effect. But I think, look, if you don't do what you're told, you have to face your accountability. And when you think about the kids back then that grew up in the 80s and 90s versus what's going on now with kids, I see the difference in things that kids are doing now that most kids wouldn't have done. Like, man, if I would have done that, I would have got torn in half by my mom. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't a lot of kids that really ran up on a teacher and, haul off on a teacher. You didn't really see that a lot. You know what I'm saying? Very rare. You know what I'm saying? And they probably was on something. They wasn't doing it soberly. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Kids, the crime with kids, I mean, it was crime, but it wasn't at a higher rate like it is now. You know what I'm saying? So I do think that when they stop, or really start regulating punishment on kids and stuff and, whooping, I think that changed. Because now there are kids out there, if you don't discipline them, they're going to feel like they can do anything. What are you going to do to me? What you going to do? If I go out here and do my thing and skip school or talk crazy to the teacher, what you going to do when I get home? You can't whoop me.
Right.
All you're going to do is talk. Yap, 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 yap. You get through talking, I'm just going to go in my room. You're going to go your way. And you seeing a lot of that now, you know what I'm saying? I think accountability, like if you don't, kids have to learn about consequences because you may think a whooping is big now, but 25 years of life versus getting whooped, because you did something bad. It's a, that may seem extreme, but it's a lot of kids out here getting 25 to life, you know what I'm saying? Teenagers, you know what I'm saying?
Teenagers.
Committing murder, you know what I'm saying? Like, what makes a kid go there? Like, I'm finna kill this dude today, you know what I'm saying? Like, what?
I think it's the same thing that makes an adult do those things. Plus, they're emotionally inequipped to handle some of these situations that they're in. So an adult's supposed to be able to regulate their emotions. You got to think that a kid doesn't have that capacity. So they're driven off their emotions. They don't know how to control them. Another thing about punishment, if you don't kind of show consequences to your children, the police will.
Yep.
Yes, that's about. Yeah, you took it right out of my mouth. Yes.
You may be scared to talk harshly to them. Maybe give them. I don't think you should be blacking your kid's eye or choking them.
Right. For sure.
You don't want to smack their bottom or their leg a couple times. But the police don't have a problem shooting them for being disrespectful, for saying that stuff under their breath. And we're not talking about they didn't have to rob a store. They don't have to have a gun nowadays. Some police didn't like the way you talk to them, and that can get you a knee in the back, and that can cause a resisting arrest. And I've seen young women, white and black, they're not used to talking to authority because their parents don't talk to them like that. They don't speak sternly to them. So when a police officer does, they talk back to them, and they can get you arrested or killed.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So you gotta am I gonna show them this tough love at home where it's controlled and they know it's coming out of a place of love? And another thing they don't speak of, discipline doesn't work without love. If you're somebody who doesn't love on your child and you're always disciplining them, that's not gonna work. You're just some guy that they live with that's hitting them. You gotta tell them you love them. You gotta really be emotionally connected for that discipline to happen. And psychological abuse, like not like grounding, like yelling, doing the if you go to therapy, silent treatment and things like that. Not talking to your kid when you're mad at them, you're teaching them all this toxic emotional behavior that they will use on their children in their relationship. and they deal with conflict like that. So you
Yeah.
know, you're teaching them how to communicate, and you're teaching them why you're disciplining them and how warning them up front. Hey, you know, if you do this, you know TV for a week. You know this, right? You know this is the
Yeah.
warning, and then you got to
Yeah.
follow through and be consistent with that. Because if you don't, you're failing them, and you may end up contributing them going to prison, getting killed, killing somebody. If you don't check your kids' temper tantrum or anger man, well, he just get mad. You just got to let him do his thing. You know what I mean? School ain't gonna tolerate that. Uh,
Yeah.
not gonna tolerate that in Chili's when he get mad. He got to cut somebody out or he push somebody. Sometimes that's assault. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you don't do it at
And
home, somebody
yeah.
else will do it for you, and that's
And
not
I'm
their
giving
thing.
and I'm giving away my age. It's funny, but I remember when I was in third grade going to Fuller. I think that's right before they stopped it, but they used to paddle kids in school, and
Mhm.
I promise you, it not that many kids didn't act up when they was in school. They didn't. I'm just telling you from what I saw. I still was one of those kids that got in trouble. And man, it used to be this teacher, man. She like Eric Sermon. You know, Eric Sermon got that eye that's kind of like. She
Uh-huh.
used to have that eye, but boy, she used to hit you like the Terminator with that powder, though, bro. But it seemed like out of the whole class, let's say out of about 20 students, you may have had only 3. And I was probably one of those 3 that probably acted up. And then another thing, right? We was
We
talking
need those
about corporal.
examples. The crash test dummy.
Yeah, yeah. And they talking about like corporal punishment for your daughters. When you think about the younger girls now, the things that's going on in this world, like if you don't teach your daughters, I'm not saying you gotta, choke slam them like the Undertaker or something. You know what I'm saying? Rock bottom them like the Rock. But if you don't teach your daughters how to live responsibly, we're seeing it in real time. You got 16, 15, 16, 17-year-old girls talking about they want to be Instagram models and they wearing anything on social media. You know what I'm saying? Like, who's raising these kids to think that that's okay? You know what I'm saying? Because they don't understand the reality of what that leads to. And it's not just, you can just take away the sex part. We already know about that. But think about the mental aspect. It's almost like that's your drug, the attention of dudes, following you and reacting to everything that you do. But then when you don't get those reactions, when you start to get older, when your beauty starts to flee you, that's biblical. How do you handle that then? We see that in real time. You see older women, they trying to fight for that attention still, you know what I'm saying? They lose that pretty privilege or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And some young girls are not taught that. They're taught that you're pretty, you get privilege for being pretty. But what they're not taught is if you don't understand how life works, that privilege will flee you quicker than what you think. One day you're the hottest thing, the next day you're not. You know what I'm saying? So
That's true.
And that's like
it's
the
on there.
thing. I think now it's kind of even with boys and girls. Like boys always, I'm gonna be in the NBA or I'm going to the NFL. Now, just regular girls, 10, 13, 14, 15, I'm going to be an influencer. You know what I mean? I'm going to be that. So I don't need school because I'm my followers. I'm going to have subscribers and this, and that's how I'm going to make my money. So I don't need to go to school. It used to be just little boys. I'm going to the NBA. I don't need to learn how to read. And that starts early, you know what I mean? Or football and things like that. Now the girls are kind of catching up with that. I'm just going to be that. I'm going to be an instant millionaire. Everybody thinks they got what it takes to go to the league. Everybody thinks they're pretty enough um, to be like a professional or whatever you call it, Instagram model, top tier. You know
Right.
what I mean? You're going to be on that 1% of Instagram models that actually make millions off their posts and things like that. You know what I mean? That's 1% of people. Like
Boy,
one or
1%.
5% people
Yeah.
are going to the NBA or the NFL. It's the
Yeah.
same thing, and you can't. You have to be able to teach your children. Hey, you gotta have it's good to dream. I'm not a dream killer. They always call me that, but it's good to have a backup plan. Learning how to read is a life skill. You know what I mean? Graduating high school is not even the tip of the iceberg. It was just like it's below. That's not even. It's something you need. You can't really move forward. You can't get to step 2 or 3 without getting to step 1, and that's step 1.
Yeah.
But they think, well, I'm just going to be this, so I don't need these regular things in school. And sometimes the way to get to that attention is using your physical beauty. You know what I mean? And if you kind of jump into that world too soon, you'll be taken advantage of, and you end up at a party with some baby oil, and you don't want that.
Boy, definitely don't want that. Definitely don't want that. So, what you saying that? Do you think that there's a majority of parents out there that put more of an emphasis on sports than they do education?
Yeah.
Of course, you as a natural person, you see, hey, if I nurture this could be instant millionaire by the time my son is 21. You know what I mean? If they become a doctor, they'll have to work every day. Maybe they'll get a 6-figure income yearly. You know what I mean? They'll get this student debt. But it's like they're really counting on this lottery ticket of the sports thing. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
everybody wants to chase the dream and be encouraging. But the most real parents I know, they're training with their kids, but they know they got to learn how to read. Like the people I see,
Yeah.
like my nieces and nephews, their parents are like, hey, you better get your schoolwork done. That's, you know what I mean? Yeah, they buying them new basketball shoes, and they're taking them to AAU camps, but there are stipulations in my family and the people that I deal with personally, not the people I
Yeah.
see on the internet. There are
Right.
they really they like sports themselves, and they encourage their child to do sports, but it's a stipulation that you have to make the grades to go out there to even have the opportunity. But you get more praise because there's more people watching you on the field or on the court than the classroom. Nobody's cheering you on in the classroom. And I think it's just natural. They feel like there's more pressure and there's more praise to perform on the court.
Yeah. And to the daughters out there, as a person that's a father, it saddens me that if a person looks at your page and every picture that you post either has your cleavage or your backside in the picture, ask yourself, what are you really communicating? And I'm moving on that one. So another thing the kids they're dealing with that's not discussed is there's not a lot of aspirational things in proximity. You go to different neighborhoods. You think about Southwest, or you think about Wakefield area. What do the kids see that they can't get out of Southwest? What do they have to aspire to? A lot of things in Southwest. There's no tech companies. There's no only thing that is stuff for you to survive, whether it's grocery stores, gas stations, or retail, or something like that, or some kind of budget store, or something like that, or fast food restaurants. But there's no, things that a kid can say, man, I want to do that. You know what I'm saying? Ain't a lot of doctor's offices in Southwest. You know what I'm saying? Ain't a lot of law firms, stuff like that. And even if they is, they kind of off in the cut. They're not on in the main view. Like if you riding down the street, most kids mostly see from when I'm driving, landscaping trucks, which that ain't a bad thing, but landscaping trucks, little side hustle stuff, like say grocery stores, retail, and gas stations. You know what I'm saying? But how does that aspire a kid to want to do great if they don't see greatness around them?
I see a lot of dentist office too, but they don't look like how. I mean, that's like they got a lot of dentist offices around here,
They do.
but they don't look like very, very nice places anyway.
Yeah.
But I think that was a big thing for us growing up in our day, not seeing stuff, so we can only be what we can actually see in our proximity in our neighborhoods and things like that. But I think now with Google, YouTube, everybody has the internet in the palm of their hands. There's Instagram, Facebook, all this Twitter, all these YouTube, all these avenues to get information and to see things. We had magazines. We had TV that we had to wait for shows to come on. We had dial-up internet. We had floppy disks. So didn't have access to the information or the images
Yeah.
or the videos or the people. We used to have to wait to see lifestyles of the rich and famous to see what a Rolls Royce look like. Right now, you can just Google it. You know what I mean? You can see the actual interior and things like that. So if you can imagine it, you can search it. Like my son knows how to. He's 7. He knows how to voice search something. Even if he can't spell it, he can say it and then he can see it. But it's like, what do you want to see? What do you want to be? You know what I mean? So, but they just want
What
to
you
be
say,
those
Tremaine?
top things. They want to be
Yeah.
influencers. They want to have a Twitch. They want to make YouTube videos. You know what I mean? Like they're even getting away from sports a lot of times. You know what I mean? So I don't think this is a big of a thing as it used to be, having things to see in your proximity because we have all this information at our fingertips.
So what you think, Tremaine?
Well, just to piggyback on what he's saying, on what he was saying, as far as the generation now has went away from, um, how back in the day, uh, in the '90s, the '90s, early 2000s, the proximity, um, for instance, like a Southwest, you take a Southwest or North Little Rock area, um, or a John Barry area, proximity was gangs. You know, um, it wasn't anything that was good to look forward to besides you walking outside your grandma's house and Bloods and Crips, or uh, you see the dude on the block making all this money, so that catches your eye, and it,
Mm-hmm.
along with that, like he was saying, everybody wanted to go to the NFL, everybody wanted to go to the NBA.
Back
Uh,
to life, back
going
to
back,
reality.
because the thing about it is, it's 1,000 great NBA players that never made it to the NBA.
Oh boy, for real.
It's you can go to the hood now, and it's some players. It's some dudes there that they can play better than half of the dudes in the league. But it's the proximity of the area that get them caught up.
Yep.
But this generation now is switching from that to, like you said, it's still instant gratification, but at the same time, it's more of a, I'm finna hustle on Twitch. I'm finna stream for 10 hours. Uh, for the ladies, they want to be Instagram models, and some of them even go as far as being OnlyFans models.
Oh Lord. Yep.
You know,
That's true.
it's
Yep.
all instant gratification at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Um, it's like they just exchange one evil to the next evil. Which,
Mm.
don't get me wrong, um, there is some good in content creation. There is good in gaming. People are doing it the right way,
Right.
but
Oh, for
for,
sure.
for every
But the
good,
majority, right? But the majority.
for every
Yeah.
good is an evil.
Yeah. I
And
guess
I
what I'm
mean,
saying
not
is, go
not
ahead.
saying that even the majority. It's just like um, they want they want to be top tier. They want, you know what I mean. They want to be, I want to be Mr. Beast right now. You know what I mean. I want to be Kai Sanat right now. Like maybe I'll do it for 2 years, and I need to be on his level. He is a one in a million. These are one in a million things, and you're counting on this.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's just like me. You know what? Friday, I'm gonna do it, y'all. Friday, I'm gonna go in there, go to the gas station, buy the lottery ticket, and I'm gonna hit.
Right.
And I'm just telling you, as a matter of fact, that's what I'm going to do Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And then these kids are disappointed when Friday They do everything they need to do. They got up early. There was a first person in the store. They had their money together. They gave them the money. They
Mm-hmm.
scratched their ticket. They looked at their numbers. And then Saturday came and it wasn't the winning ticket. So how
Mm-hmm.
many times are they going to do that? And I made that analogy because you're going to make that video. You're going to make that first content or you're going to make your first Twitch. And it's like, why is it not blowing up? I did everything he did. I did everything Mr. Beast did. I did everything Consonant did. I did everything T Grizzly did. Why is it not happening for me? You know what I mean? And they're going to keep thinking that. And it's basically they're playing a scratch off lottery ticket with this. You can't be
Mm-hmm.
someone else's success. You know what I mean?
That's true.
I want it. You know what I mean? Yeah, I want to look in my glove box and find a lottery ticket with the numbers. Yes, I do. I do too. I want that. You know
Right.
what I mean? I ain't
Yeah.
gonna lie, but I still got to go to work. My son still needs his dad. These bills need to be paid and still, but then they just kind of crash out when they're not. Their content is not doing this, or they don't go to the NBA. And I'm seeing people in their 50s now still are crushed that they didn't go to the NBA, but they didn't even
Yeah.
go to college. They didn't
That's
even
true.
get on the high school team,
That's true.
but they were sure they was going to the NFL. You didn't play football in junior high. You didn't play it in high school. You didn't go to college. You think the dream would kind of drop. I'm still going, man. They still gonna find me. You know what I mean? I'm lifting weights and stuff. You know what I mean? They still gonna find me. So, and we're dealing with kids with this. Well, I'm gonna keep doing this. I'm gonna keep doing it. And one day I'm gonna pop. And there's nothing wrong with the chasing that dream. But when you're just counting on it like that, and I think that's where we're kind of losing people.
And I think too, I guess what I was thinking about too is the information's out there and it's out there to grab, but nobody's grabbing that information. They're grabbing the other things. Like how, instead of learning how, so they want to learn how to do the OnlyFans thing, or they want to learn how to do these things instead of learning how to maintain in life. You know what I'm saying? I went to the
It's quicker.
Walgreens over here where I live at. They closed early. Like we rode by there one time and they was closed. It was like 7 o'clock in the evening, or something like that. Man, we went out to the Walgreens on Cantrell over there by Buffalo Wild Wings, and they
Mm-hmm.
was they was open at night. I think it was almost. I think they may be open 24 hours. And I asked them, why is it that y'all open 24 hours, but the one by where I live at closed early? And he was like, they can't get enough people out there. They don't got enough workers. They don't got enough coverage out there, man. And if you don't got enough workers out there coverage, you got to close down. You know what I'm saying? You got to be closed. And I guess what I'm saying, sometimes the kids are not aspirational to, because every kid not gonna go pro or play sports, but those kids that's in the middle of academic excellence and sports excellence, the ones that's in the middle, those are the ones I see affected the most, and they're not looking up that information. You know what I'm saying, to figure out whether I need to do a trade, to go be a firefighter, or what I'm saying, or go to school. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, being a firefighter, I don't think kids understand that. Like, if you turn 18, you graduate high school, you got 10 years to take shots at being a firefighter. I think it's cut off when you're 30. And being a firefighter, that's a pretty cool little job, man. If you can get past the barriers of the test, the interview, and the physical test, but you know what I'm saying, you can kind of be a firefighter and be straight. But I'm saying, why are they not looking up that kind of information? Why are they only looking up the instant gratification stuff? I guess that's like I said, the root.
But nobody wants to be third place, second place. Don't like. Hey, it's 1,000 places. It's 1 through 1,000. Nobody aims for 27, even though 27 is pretty good. Nobody aims for that. I want to be that pop star, that football player, that CEO. You know what I mean? Nobody's looking. You know what? I want to make $86,000 a year. We saying, oh, that's pretty straight. But when you got a kid, you know what I mean, that's just not appealing to them. Working 40 hours a week, you know what I mean, $87,000 a year. Can I buy Cybertruck with 80. You know, I mean, they just don't see it like that at the younger ages.
That's true.
Mhm.
Go to the next slide. Next one is being told broad topics and not being taught about the details. Like we talk about, get you a car. You're not taught about the maintenance of a car. Just get you a car. You go get the new Challenger. You don't realize, how much a brake job costs, how much
Uh,
an oil change costs.
when the warranties go out,
Boy,
is it 100,000? Is it $60,000 on this brand? Things like that. Credit, you know what I mean? You just,
yeah,
and I hate this with all this in me. Just hustle and work hard. Just hustle. Just keep hustling.
yeah,
Like what is that? Like okay,
yeah,
what is
for
like
real.
step one? What
Yeah,
is hustle? What's the H stand for? Like what's going on? What are you telling these kids to do? You know what I mean? I
yeah,
can get behind. Hey, just do good in school, study, work hard. You know what I mean? That's kind of like okay, in school, just do your best in every class. And things like that. But when you just tell somebody hustle, just get you a car or go to college.
yeah.
That
Right.
was like
That's
back
so
in my
broad.
day
Yeah,
before the internet. Like what's the first thing you do? Like do I fill out the application? Who's gonna pay for that? Does high school didn't cost anything? So
right.
what does college cost? You know what I mean? The kids don't know that. You know what I mean? You're
Right.
17, 18. They're not even paying their own bills, and you telling them to go to college. They don't know about financial aid. They heard it before. They don't know the details. And the laws change every year. So some stuff I don't know about financial aid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And uh,
And then we was
like a
talking about
semester
unstable
in college
household.
can be a car. You know what I mean? So
Boy, for real. We was talking about
nowadays,
unstable households. There are some households that the parents will make their kids get the max financial aid and make them pay their bills with the kids' financial aid. People think that ain't a real thing. That's a real thing. You know
Real
what I'm saying?
thing.
Like you're living off your kids'
that's
financial aid.
manipulation. Yep.
You know what I'm saying? For sure. And then, like say,
I had
we're
an
going to college, tell them to
ex-girlfriend
go to.
going through that.
Oh, for real?
Her mom was expecting the refund. Like I know I'm gonna get 80, 90
Man, that's crazy.
80% of that, you know what I mean, and said that, and then had an
Yeah.
attitude about not getting her share of the refund money and things like that.
Man, that's
Um,
crazy.
I
Yeah.
told you to click this or do that. And I was like, man,
And then it's something to learn how to figure stuff out. If you don't know, figure it out. It's something, a skill in that I learned growing up, not having a dad around, just being able to figure something out. I don't know how to get to college, so I need to keep cracking at this wood with this axe until this tree go down. It's something about that skill that I would tell any young person, if you can understand, you may not know it, but can you go through the process of figuring it out? I think that a lot of times can open up a lot of insight for you as any individual. And, you think about like buying a house. Like Jay, what you think right now? Knowing what we know about owning a house, how much do you think you really need to have before you really think about owning a house? Especially with now with interest rate and stuff.
uh, you need to look at a lot of programs. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Whether it's rural development, things like that, like trying to buy a house in the city straight out. They asking you to have 5%. They want to see your bank statements for like a year, things like that, pay stubs. So not only you have to have the money, you have to have a certain amount of balance in your thing. So to avoid all that, look
yeah,
for any kind of special programs and things like that. Uh, use your networking skills. Like have before you say I need my credit to be 800 before you're setting limitations for yourself before you get that. I need to save 10,000 before I even start looking. Talk to
boy,
somebody first. Talk to like I believe in talking to advisors at school. I believe in talking to pastors sometimes at church when you need or therapists. You know what I mean? If you're going through something or you want to tackle something, talk to an expert. You don't have to take all their advice. Talk to them. That's what you need before you buy a house. You need some knowledge. You know,
Yeah, for
talk to
real.
a realtor. You know what I mean? Somebody who's not trying to get your money. Just talk, conversation first.
Yeah,
Uh, before you start trying to get some, like when you're ignorant, you'll be trying to get some stuff that you don't even really need. But
for
you're
real.
going to have to having a good credit score and stuff like that, and having a little money, saved up. I mean, because you got to buy furniture and stuff like that. It's a hassle, but it's very, very possible. If you can get an
Yeah,
apartment, you can get a house. Because apartments sometimes want you to have like 3 months rent. You know what I mean? Your bank account or something like that. And that's a lot. So I think the first thing you need to do is research getting a house before you try to get a house, because there's information out there.
yeah,
And like you said, figuring it out. That's a simple statement,
yeah,
but you know what I mean? When you're right, it depends on how you raise a child. When you raise your child, you're telling them what to do every day. Don't do that. Don't do this. Brush your teeth. The person you gotta tell, the 15-year-old you gotta tell every day to brush their teeth, they're not figuring a lot of stuff out. You know what I mean? You
yeah.
gotta know the child that you have, and you gotta try to raise them to be an independent adult,
Right.
or that figure it out thing is not going to click to them. But
Right.
buying a house is a process. It's a simple process once you
Man.
do it. It's like riding a bike. But if you don't know how to ride a bike, riding a bike is crazy because it's two wheels and it's thin. As a child, you going how does this going? How am I going to stay straight? I got 2 feet and I can stand on my 2 feet. Your mind can't understand how you're gonna sit on this bike and it's gonna stand up by itself. It don't make sense to you. But once you do
Yeah.
the process and you kind of feel it and you got that experience, you will be able to do it. And and I think buying a house and a lot of other things in adulthood are like that. It's like kind of
Yeah.
riding a bike.
What you think, Jamel?
Well, to piggyback on what he said, um, a lot of it's a lot of parents out there that they don't even know the knowledge.
Mm. That's
So
real. Yeah.
it's kind of like, how can they teach their children if they don't know? But on the bright side, when I was in high school, next year it'd be 10 years.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, they did have a class that would teach you stuff about credit, about getting the basics before you even can even apply for a house or try to get to the programs. It's certain stuff that you need. You know, it's kind of like, how can I put this? Uh, they would teach us stuff, of course, like credit, having the right bank account, um, stuff like stocks, bonds, IRAs, Roth
Yeah.
accounts. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it's just certain information that that is starting to begin to be taught in school. I've been removed,
Yeah.
so I don't know the advancement of it now.
Yeah.
But um, if the parents don't know, if you are
Yeah.
a responsible teenager, or even if you're not responsible, if you have an inkling of something, like Jay said, uh, talk to somebody before you even think about doing something. Talk to somebody, and information is out there. Technology is advancing every day. You know, it's free courses. I know myself. I done took some free online courses about credit and stocks, bonds, um, how to do certain things, and when it comes to uh, you know what is it called with the stocks? Oh, it was an app. Mm,
Robin Hood? No.
is it Robinhood?
That's one of them
Yeah,
probably.
Robinhood is one of them. Um, you know, trading.
E-trade and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
Trading. It's stuff like that. That's out. It's information that's out there, but once again, my generation don't like to. I finna go and say it. We don't like to work for nothing,
Mm.
and it's something that's so attainable. Like Google is right there.
Yeah.
YouTube is right there.
But
You can
they can get on them like them gambling sites, you know what I mean? But they can't get on them trading sites, you know what I mean?
Yes, they can get on DraftKings and Underdog and lose every day.
Right.
I can get a parlay, but I can't get a student loan, like you know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
I can't get a FHA, you know what I mean? I get a rural development loan and things like that, you know what I mean? And when you were talking, I was thinking about like, you know, when my parents, like my dad didn't go to college, like he got in the hospital and he got a lot of training to took a lot of courses according to his job, you know what I mean, to his basically his trade. You know what I mean? My mom was in healthcare and she went to college, but in our generation, like you got to think when like we was born, like they was using 8 tracks. We went through 8 tracks. Like I don't remember it, but like we put 8 tracks and Atari to cassette CDs, MP3s, you know what I mean? And now where we all streaming now. So when my mom went to college, they filled out everything on paper. So when it was time for me to go to college, everything was on computer, you know what I mean? And it was totally different. It's just like she didn't really have any knowledge on going to school, what how FAFSA works. You know what I mean? You do all that on computer even 20 years ago. You know what I mean? They just didn't have the kind of knowledge, even though they been through similar stuff. Things change all the time, so
I, I,
I can now sit and blame my mom or my dad or my uncles on what they didn't teach me or what it like. At some point, you got to be responsible for your own.
for sure. And that's what I'm kind of saying. Like, I'm not blaming nobody. I said, what I'm thinking of is before you even go to college, some people, they live life and they never really understand the detail of who they are as an individual. Like, what's your discipline level like? Do you understand sacrifice? Like, if you go to college, you're probably not going to have a lot of free time to do leisure things because you're trying to get college done. If I know just those detailed things about you as an individual, that stuff is like universal across anybody. Like, what are you naturally inclined to do that it may not be the right thing? So you have to fight that within yourself. You know what I'm saying? You got to think about those things. Like, if you don't go to college, what does it look like? The outlook look like if a person doesn't get not just college but any kind of education, whether it's a vocation, cutting hair, anything that can increase your value, where you're not stuck in that median, $35,000 to $40,000 range.
right.
A lot of time kids don't get that. I know I didn't get that until I got older. I should have been on top of it when I was younger, but I try to tell kids that, man, you can be making 60, 55 to 60 in your mid 20s if you play it right. But if you don't think about those little details like that, you'll get to 30 and realize you're behind the 8 ball. You're trying to play catch up and live life at the same time. If you have a family and kids, you know what I'm saying? What
Yeah.
I'm going through right now at 40, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I mean, like about being taught the detail. Like when you own a car, you have to make sure that the coolant system is right, or you're gonna blow the heads on it. How I do that? You need to watch that temperature gauge, and it don't need to go. You need to watch it and see what's going on with your car, like be in tune with your car. Understanding your tires, like if you see your tire may not be. Sometimes people don't like. I noticed that like when my tire just a little bit low when I get out the car, I can say, "Wait a minute, something ain't right. I need to check my tire real quick." Some
hmm
people don't do that. They just know that the tires aired up. They rolling every day. Next thing you know, the tire flat when you get out or work in the morning or wake up. Come out of work, but you weren't paying. It was gradually going low, but you really didn't understand. Like you got to pay attention to those because most people got the sensor now, right? Newer cars don't they got like the air, the temperature? The air,
Yeah.
how many pounds of air in your tire?
Exactly.
And some people don't even pay attention to that. They just on their dash, you know what I'm saying?
They just be rolling.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, say, go to college. What major? Like, they have a lot of majors in college, but what major makes sense for the area that you live in? You know what I'm saying?
That's true
You
too.
know, majoring in something that don't make sense. Like trying to major in, like you trying to be like a cinematography, camera shooter. That's probably more suitable for being in LA than probably in Little Rock, unless you're gonna go through the challenges of trying to be that first person to do that. And you got to understand the details of that. Being the first person, how much do you have to endure to be the first person to do something in your area? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And a lot of times people don't talk about that. They just say on social media, I was the first person to do this, and look at me. But they don't talk about how you got to that point. You know what I'm saying?
They sure don't.
Because making content, I've been doing it for 2 years. We don't go viral stuff. We just talking positive stuff. But a lot of people don't. They may watch it, but you ain't gonna get the engagement. Probably like somebody just watching World Star Hip Hop, you know what I'm saying, and watch something crazy. Might be totally different, you know what I'm saying? So
Right.
the details of that. But I know how to make content. I know what cameras to get. Even if I need to scale up, if I ever get to that kind of money, I know what to get and what to get in an efficient fashion where I won't be buying stuff that I don't need. You know what I'm saying? Learning about content, that detail stuff. I don't need a 6K Black Magic camera because I'm not even that consistent enough to shoot with something that big and it costs that much money. Like I don't need to spend $10,000 on a camera when I'm not doing that every day. You know what I'm saying? It's that kind of detailed stuff. You know what I'm saying? That I think that could be missing sometimes.
Right.
So, especially learning about yourself, you definitely got to be honest and learn about yourself as you get older, and realize like what you're good at, what you're not good at. Not from a competition, me competing with Jamel, but just for me growing and trying to get better. What do I need to build my education around? What I'm learning, I need to build around what I'm good at. You know what I'm saying? So,
That's true.
but yeah, because I do understand the instant gratification, but what I'm saying, you got to balance. Sometimes you got to be able to balance. Like, you know what? I do want this, but in order for me to get that consistently, I need to do these things in order to get there. You know what I'm saying?
That's
Because
true.
what you're gonna find, I can tell you this from here. What you're gonna find out is if you don't up your value, you're gonna always be like, I got enough to pay the bills, but after I pay the bills, I only got this much left, but I can't do a whole lot with what I got left. You know what I'm saying? Happens all the time. And trying to increase your salary but still live under the salary. Like if you make 80,000 here, like John saying, make 84,000. Can you live like you're making 40,000, or do you got to live up to that 84,000? And now you right back to living check to check again. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's those kind of detailed things. You know what I'm saying? That I think sometimes the youth are not being taught. Either like you said, the parents are still doing it, they don't know about it, or some people know about it, but they don't understand how to teach the details. They just talk in broad topics. You know what I'm saying? That's
Yeah.
another thing too. So, but we got this last slide. We're gonna get action thing. Learning on the fly in the trenches, very dangerous, but a lot of kids doing it though. I had to learn on the fly. I did that with dating. Definitely not recommended. Like I say, not having your father in your life. A lot of kids learn on their own thoughts and imaginations, and you learning in the trenches. Definitely not the way to go, because what you'll find is you'll get so far out there, then you'll realize that you're too far from where you really need to be. Now you got to do double time to get back to where you need to be to go in the right direction. So, what you think about that, bro?
Yeah. Learning on the fly, whether you in the
Man.
trenches or not, is very dangerous.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes you can learn on the fly and be okay. But there's 9 times out of 10,
Yeah.
nah, fam.
Because in life, most of the times in life, you are kind of learning on the fly,
Mhm.
but you still have to have the moral, logical code to realize like why you learn on the fly. You know, I'm learning on the fly, but I know that's not a good decision if I do that.
Right.
Some people don't understand that part. Like I know that's not a good decision. You know what I'm saying? When you're trying to, like, of a man trying to find a spouse, you may not know, but you learn on the fly.
Mm-hmm.
but you still have to know the core things of what you're looking for, right? Is she a good person? Does she believe in you know, if she want to have kids, does she really value what it takes to have a kid from a woman aspect of what it takes? Because
Right.
it takes a lot for a woman to have a kid to go through those 9 months. Some women don't want to do that. You have to be able to make that evaluation. You know what I'm saying? To know those things. I know people be saying don't judge me. I was talking about that on another one I made, but you got to be able to learn how to judge and evaluate stuff as you're going along. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And you may not know. Sometimes trial and error. You may not know, but then when you try to be like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Now you know. Now what you do next is on you. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, learn on the fly definitely. It ain't easy, but it's definitely a skill if you can understand it. Because that's kind of how in my teens, in my 20s, learning on the fly. That's what pretty much kind of how I did things. And working in IT, that's what makes me kind of get the advantage of working in IT because I can learn something on the fly without an instruction manual, without having to. I can look at some stuff, kind of come together and figure something out. Try it, worked, boom. Because sometimes in IT there ain't no instruction manual. It's the first problem that ever happened. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no way to solve it. It's right now how you go off of what you know. You know what I'm saying? So that's
That's
why it's important to learn about yourself spiritually, learn about yourself logically, what you be thinking. Just learn about yourself. Because like I said, there's spiritual education sometimes be missing too. And you can get out there into some stuff that you don't want to get into, but then you got to deal with that. You can't absolve. You can be forgiven, you can get delivered, but you like say, if I would have had a kid at 19, I can go to God. He can deliver me from it. He can give me comfort, but I still got to raise that kid. I'm not absolved from that. You know what I'm saying? And that's what sometimes people are trying to tell you. They just don't say it in those words, but you have to be careful about what you do because that choice, you might have to deal with that choice, even though you get delivered and you feel better about it, but you still have to deal with that choice that you made. You know what I'm saying?
that's
And that's
true.
not judgment. That's just reality. That's life. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
life.
So yeah, that's life. You know what I'm saying? But some people think you judging them when you say that. They're like, no, 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 that's life. I'm trying to tell you about how life works. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like that in sports too. If you playing cornerback and if you don't open your hips up like the coach say, and when that receiver go to run that post route and you don't open your hips up, you ain't gonna be able to recover. You're gonna see the cornerback running fast trying to catch up, but it's too late.
Yep.
You got to
That's
take
right.
that and you got to go to the next play. You got burnt, okay. Now I got to go to the next play. You know what I'm saying? But you talking to boys and girls, they be saying, "Well, I can't fornicate." The kid, that's not the bad part. The bad part is what if you get something that you can't get rid of,
Ooh-wee.
and you got to deal with that. What if you get that house in Vegas? You know what I'm saying? That HIV, you can't get rid of that. You know what I'm saying?
Man, that's a topic for a whole nother podcast.
I know, right? But that's what I'm saying. We're trying to get these kids to realize the kid, that's the beautiful part of it. But what you ain't realizing is you out there living raw. You out there, rolling the dice. You know what I'm saying?
Boy,
But yeah. But
play.
these kids out here dealing with a lot of stuff, man. People don't want to talk about it. They dealing with a lot of stuff. Too young that they don't have to deal with. But when you having kids or parents having kids and they know they not in a stable situation, this is what happens. That's what we're dealing with now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Having these kids at random, you know what I'm saying, and not being able to provide that because you just don't have enough money. It costs money to provide stability, you know what I'm saying? It
Uh-huh.
does. People don't want to talk about that, but it does. 30,000 and raising kids, that's a tall task, bro.
Oh yeah.
It's a tall task, you know what I'm saying?
Very
So,
tall.
bro, what you thinking, bro? Before we get up out this thing.
Man, I think that um to close this out, man, learning on the fly is it can be uh it's some people's way of life. You know,
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, I'm with you on
it's
that.
some people's way of life, and like you said, it's really a skill that can be mastered. But at the same time, I feel like it should be balanced because you can learn on the fly and make 1,000 mistakes learning on the fly. But at the same time, if you take your time and do the proper research and
Man, for real.
really study something, you can balance yourself out and be all right. You know,
Yeah. Learning how to be still. That's one of the man.
that's
Be
very
still
hard.
and study. You know what I'm
It's
saying?
very hard to do, man. It's
Yeah,
it's
I know,
it's,
right? It is. When you're
it's
younger, it is. Yeah.
because we look at the end of the line. We
Right.
don't look at the race.
Mm-hmm.
We look at the end. We looking at the finish line before we even start running.
Right. And that's
So
why I say it's important, man. That's why I'm glad you're talking to him. It's important to reach out to somebody that's a little bit older than you. I didn't have that when I was younger, man. So I was like, I had to figure it out, man. But definitely, man, I tell you, man, you just being able to sit down and just really write some stuff out and think about some stuff. And even with going to school, telling kids, like, it's really some majors at Euler that I see a lot of kids could do. And they don't realize it'll probably help them out to open their mind up to some other stuff. You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
And you get a degree at the same time. And I was telling one dude, if you want to do media production, you could do that. And they teach you how to edit. They don't teach you how to do like Mr. Beast kind of edit, but they give you the foundation of the stuff that you need to learn how to edit. And you get a degree in it at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Who knows what they'll turn into?
Exactly.
But yeah, guys, we get ready to sign out this thing, man. I gotta thank my boy, man, Young Bull for coming on, man.
For sure.
Appreciate that, man. We
For
pretty
sure.
ready to do some collabs too, man. His schedule will free up, man, because
Oh
we
yeah.
love this wrestling from the South.
Oh
We
yeah. We
love
going
this
down.
wrestling, man. I'm a Ric Flair guy, the Four Horsemen. The Four Horsemen.
You know,
WWF, baby.
I like Rick. I like Ric Flair, even though he just said some racist stuff to us.
Yeah.
Um,
Who ain't, man? Yeah, that's
I
true.
like
Even black people.
I like Arn Anderson, man.
Yeah, I like
Arn
Arn Anderson too.
Arn Anderson, man. Pat
That's what my
Patterson.
boy John just. I be trying to tell him he should be Arn Anderson. Who he act like? He act like Arn Anderson, man.
Yeah, he
But
does.
we want to do it.
Arn Anderson. I'm talking about Pat Patterson.
Tony Blanchard.
Bro, I'm
Yeah.
talking about Bobby Heenan.
Yeah,
Bro,
Bobby the Brain Heenan. Yeah.
bro. I'm talking about bro. Andre the Giant, bro.
Yeah.
I'm
Richard Giant.
boy, I'm talking.
I
Hey,
used to watch all this stuff. I like my guy though, the Sheik, the Iron Sheik. That was my dude too.
Iron
I
Sheik,
always like the bad guys. I always like the bad guy. That was my thing. The bad guys
Rod-
got to do all the cool stuff.
Roddy Piper. I love me some Roddy
Yeah.
Piper, bro.
Yeah.
Roddy
Roddy Piper.
Piper, man, I could talk wrestling all day.
Yeah, we gonna do some stuff like that, man. It's coming
It's going
up,
down,
man.
bro.
Y'all stay tuned. Y'all stay
It's going
tuned, man.
Going down.
But we gonna thank y'all for watching, man. For those who watch after, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button. What's your handle, bro? Let them know where your handle is.
Man, Whiteout TV on everything: TikTok,
Okay.
Facebook, Instagram. My personal is Tweet Right Jr. You can hit me up. Going down.
Hit us up, man. Let us know what you think, and we are signing out.